Hey! It's 6:03. I'm running 3 minutes late. I never run late.
Oh,
Ask
yes,
Peg's wife
you
about
just did
that.
then.
I'm going to stand up. You want to speak?
No, go ahead. I'm going to have to stand up anyway.
All
I'm
right.
just ready.
All right. As always, we start off with a prayer. And I've got my co-coordinator and my pastor, my friend, Glenn Pope, and he's going to lead us in our prayer. Then we'll do a pledge, and then we'll get into the meat of the meeting.
Would you bow, please? Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the blessings you give to us, especially this beautiful day that we've been given. And Father, we thank you for the food that we've had. We pray that as this food nourishes us, we pray that we'll use our strength for you and for the good of our country. And Father, for our country, we pray that our leaders and those who seek to become our leaders always look to you for guidance. We pray, Father, that we will encourage them to always look to you, to follow you, and to obey your commands. Father, we thank you for the fact that we can get together and encourage each other, help each other. May we seek the best, especially for Oklahoma. And Father, give us insight and wisdom that we may know how to cheer on our leaders and each other. We pray these things in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen. And I've got a short prayer I'd like to add.
No, don't do that.
Join me in a short prayer. Dear Lord, hear me now. Anyone but Gettin or Drummond. Amen. Okay. I'm going to be in trouble now. Okay, and then Michael. I'd like to have our local hero lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Okay, first off, I want to announce for 5 years we've had 2 meetings a month, one here on second Tuesday and one in Ponca City on the fourth Saturday. We are no longer having the fourth Saturday meetings. This meeting on the second Tuesday here at 6 o'clock will be the only OK2A meetings in Kay and Noble County. Okay, I've got 2 events coming up I want to mention to y'all, and then I'm going to have flyers for them on that back table. Those of you that want a record of it, take a picture. It'll tell you where and when. On May 30th, that's a Saturday at 1 p.m., we're going to have a candidate forum for our Senate District 10 candidates and incumbents. The incumbent is Bill Coleman. He's served 2 terms. He's running for his 3rd and final term. And Jaden Terrazas, who's the young man sitting over here. And it's going to be real interesting. And at my meetings, we don't write our questions on cards and pass them up. I call on you, and you get to ask a live question face-to-face and get the answer. So it sometimes can get pretty lively, but it's the best way to get a read on the 2 candidates and which one that you personally think would be the best representative for Senate District 10. And then the week following, that's on Saturday, June 6th at 12 noon, we're going to have a candidate forum for all of the candidates, 4 of the 6 candidates, GOP candidates that are running for Senate District 38, House District 38. We have Suzanne back there, who is one of the candidates, and there have been 6 announced, and 4 have confirmed they will be at the candidate forum. The other 2 have more important stuff to do. So So that's Saturday, June 6th at 12 noon, Saturday, May 30th at 1 p.m. And they're going to be at the Church of Christ, which is 300 North Public. That's the northeast corner of Public and North Street, directly east across from the Tonkawa football stadium. Yes.
Which two are not coming?
Oh, the two that are not coming are Jim Neal from Crescent, Oklahoma, and Michael Norman from Guthrie, Oklahoma. So, anyway, let me go put these back there. Like I said, if you want a record of this, you can take a picture of these anytime. And I hope to see everyone there. These meetings are real important. Now, I've got a standing offer for any candidates that show up. I'll give them a couple of minutes. So, since Jaden's in the middle of his meal right now, I'll call on Suzanne. I'll come out and tell him a little bit about you. A couple of minutes, and then we'll get on the rest of the meeting. I appreciate you coming.
My name is Susan Callahan. I'm running for House District 38. I'm a retired CPA, and I worked in the oil and gas industry for 2 decades. I have 3 decades of private sector experience overall. And I also spent over 4 years at the Capitol doing legislative analysis. And while I was at the Capitol, I noticed that we have a number of agencies that need to do a lot better job. And a number of issues, I'd say changes in processes and systems, among other things. And that's what I did in the private sector for 3 decades, was to improve and design processes and systems. So I thought that skill would come in handy at the Capitol. And I would like to go and help the district. And I have some other things in mind too, but I only have 2 minutes, so come talk to me afterwards. Thank you.
We can cover those at the candidate forum on the 6th. And every time I say Callahan, I can't help but think of somebody saying, "Make my day." That was Detective Callahan. Anyway, okay. Is your mouth empty?
Just for now.
This is Jaden Terrazas. He's running against Bill Coleman. I've known Jaden since he was 16, and he was an impressive young man who is still in high school, and he's even more impressive now. Turn it over to you.
Thank you, Terry. As Terry mentioned, known him for 11 years now. Can you believe that? Sucks getting old, doesn't it? Like I said, I'm running for Senate District 10 against the incumbent Senator Bill Coleman. We're both from Ponca City, actually. And our district is every single ounce of Osage County, Tonkawa, Ponca, Newkirk over on this side, and then pieces of Bartlesville, Sand Springs, Owasso, and Collinsville. So if you live in any of those places or have friends and family there, let them know that you at least heard from me. I'm running because I'm a young guy, had a successful career in the private sector already with Amazon of all things, and I've seen what's going on with not just our state but our country. And if people don't get involved, that actually are going to have to live with the consequences of their decisions, the decision making is not going to get any better. And so the Lord has blessed me with an early successful career, as I mentioned, and the financial foundation to be able to pause that successful career and pursue something more meaningful that I believe service to the state, the Oklahoma State Senate, is more meaningful, and not only meaningful but impactful for people past my generation and beyond. And so I'm a low tax guy. Terry sometimes calls me the most conservative candidate in Oklahoma. I will take that and try to live up to it. But again, I think it's time to get out with the old and in with the new and add a little bit of energy, and not only that, but real skepticism to how the government's currently functioning. And when people tell me, oh, well, you can't do it that way, that makes me want to do it that way even more. Because from the private sector in Amazon, the company grew 4 times over while I was there in just 5.5 years. So I know what it looks like to improve things, and sometimes you break them in the process and they come back better than they were before. So I'm not afraid of that. I've got signs with me. You can find me at jadenterrazas.com, and I'll be here afterwards as well if you have any questions. Thank you. Oh, and since this is an OK2A meeting, I have to include this part. The one legislative agenda item that I have committed to this early on in the campaign is to pass a state law that says all guns and ammunition are tax-free. It is the only amendment on the Bill of Rights that we get taxed for, and it needs to go.
I've got to say, like I said, I've known him since he was 16. When he got out of high school and went to work for Amazon, I cringed. I thought, oh no, they're going to implant that woke virus in his brain. If anything, he's more conservative now than he was then. You learn when you're in the enemy camp, don't you?
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Okay. Now, that's all the candidates. Ryan Haney, come on up. Folks, Ryan is a sharp guy. He's an attorney. He's with OCPA, Oklahoma Council on Public Affairs. They have been instrumental in killing the jungle. State Question 836,
right.
which was the California jungle primary. Okay. Hey. So now they've got that beat with some help.
That's right.
And now we're addressing State Question 832, which would devastate our economy here in Oklahoma. Take it away, Ryan Haney.
Yeah, thank you so much, Terry. This is not the first time I've been to this meeting. I've been to this meeting before. As Terry mentioned, one of the things that I love about working at OCPA is that we come out to groups like this. We're in Tulsa tonight. We were in, I don't know where Hallie was this afternoon, but we're in communities all over the state every night of the week, typically except for Friday because there's no meetings on Friday. But we couldn't do what we do without groups like yours. In 2024, we led the first campaign to oust a sitting Supreme Court justice on the Oklahoma Supreme Court. Actually tried to get 3, got really close with 1, and then ultimately ousted Yvonne Cogner, who was the most liberal justice on the Oklahoma Supreme Court. As Terry mentioned, we led an effort to a decline to sign effort on State Question 836, which would have pushed California and Washington's jungle primary system on the state of Oklahoma. We were very happy to see that they did not collect enough signatures. And so while we all have different opinions on who you like for governor or who you like for this Senate or this House seat, we like to think that at OCPA what we try to do is find those big issues that we can all come around and say, okay, like let's put aside how we feel about this candidate or that candidate and identify the things that are going to be existential threats to the state. And State Question 832 is one of those existential threats. Currently, Oklahoma abides by the federal minimum wage, which is set right now at $7.25. I don't know anyone who makes $7.25 working because in Oklahoma, wages, despite what you will hear, they say that wages have not gone up. It's true that the minimum wage has not gone up since 2009, but wages are going up. We can track that. We know that wages are going up in the state of Oklahoma. What State Question 832 would do is raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour by the year 2029. But it would not stay there. Now, my colleagues and I, this is kind of where we disagree. Some of my colleagues say if all it did was go to $15 an hour and just park it there, we probably wouldn't be raising a big stink about it. I would on the internet, but I may not be here, going out of my way, going across the state talking about it if it were just going to $15 an hour. Because most of the places I look, if for entry-level, low-skilled work, are already hiring at $12 or $13 an hour. $15 an hour is not a lot more than that, and it would give us a couple of years to adjust. But what State Question 832 does is it then ties the minimum wage to a federal consumer price index that's tied to large cities. What that means is that the decisions that are made in cities like Detroit, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and New York would impact how fast wages continue to rise in Oklahoma. And so because it ties it to this consumer price index, the minimum wage would not stay at $15 an hour. It would continue to go up until Jesus comes back. There's just no other way to put it. And so we believe that this will be detrimental to the economy. It's going to raise prices at a time where prices are already high. I've got a video where I sort of explain this with graphs using basic high school economics, but I think it helps if you think about price floors generally. Let's start, if you think about like the market for televisions, right? It used to be that televisions were very expensive, and so homes only had one in their house. And so when I was a young boy, my family only had one television, and I was the one who flipped the channels, because you had to flip it with like the little turns. You had to get up. They didn't have channel changers, so I was the one who changed the channels for my parents. Then, as televisions became less expensive, people decided, oh, well, now I want a television in my bedroom. Or as they continue to come down, I see them on back patio. People want to grill out and watch a Thunder game at the same time. They put them in their kids' rooms, all kinds. I see them in kitchens. I see televisions everywhere because they continue to go down. And the reason is, as the price of a good goes down, the demand for that good goes up, right? But if the government came in and said you have to charge X amount for a television, and that was above what was being charged then, well, you'd have a lot of people rush into the market and say, oh, the government's saying you have to charge X amount. So I'm going to, we were making LCD screens for computers. We're going to switch production. We're going to start making TVs because the government says you have to sell them at this higher price. But at the same time, consumers, people who buy televisions, they don't want to buy it at that price. They were buying it at the lower price. And so what do you have? You have a bunch of televisions that are now sitting on the shelves of supermarkets or stores. And so we have what's called a surplus. Well, the market for unskilled labor is no different than the market for anything else. The people who supply, in this case, are not corporations. People who supply labor are workers. They're people like you and I who go into the workforce, and we trade our labor for a wage, right? So the price of our labor is the wage. The people who demand labor are industry or businesses, right? So let's think again about that mandatory price floor where the government comes in and says you can't charge below this certain amount for your labor. Well, you got a bunch of people who say, well, I wasn't working a job, now I'm going to go out and look for a job. Or I was retired, but now this wage has gone up, I'm going to go out and look for a job. But at the same time, the people who demand labor, right, businesses, as that price goes up above that equilibrium or clearing price, they decide we're going to hire less. So you again have a surplus, but in the market for labor, we call that surplus unemployment. So that is the primary concern that we have, is that this is going to lead to mass unemployment throughout the state of Oklahoma. It's already what we've seen in states like California and Washington, where this has already been tried. Those specific sectors that rely on low-skilled labor see jobs disappear, right? I'm glad to hear that you work for Amazon. I'm a tech optimist. I don't fear technology. I don't fear AI. I think if we allow the market forces to dictate things like automation, I think in the end we will all be good. But if we start injecting government interventions into the marketplace and accelerating automation, that's where I think we get into real trouble, right? So we start replacing people with machines at a faster rate, exacerbating the problem of unemployment. I've got a daughter, I have two daughters and one son. My oldest daughter is 14, she just turned 14. And in Oklahoma City, she can work at Chick-fil-A at 14. I want Oklahoma to remain a place where she and my two younger kids, whenever they get to be teenagers, can find work. The people who are hurt the most are teenagers and young people. And so another thing that I want to highlight, especially while I'm out in rural Oklahoma, is that currently there is an exception for agriculture work in our minimum wage laws. So agricultural workers are not subject to the federal minimum wage. State Question 832 would do away with the agricultural exception. So it's bad for teenagers and other unskilled workers. It's bad for agriculture. It's going to overall be bad for the economy. It's going to certainly raise prices. We see that where this has been tried, again, at a time where we're already seeing higher prices. I'm sympathetic to that argument. I could sit here and talk all night about fiat money and bad monetary policy and this and that. But the solution to inflation is not something that is going to pick winners and losers out in the marketplace and only make the problem of increased prices worse. With that, I've got some handouts, but really I want to take you guys' questions, and I don't know if that's as long as I'm supposed to go, but maybe we can get out of here early. I don't think anybody would be opposed to that.
He's got to drive back to Oklahoma City, so.
But I'm happy to take your questions if you have any. Yes, sir.
When I was on the workforce, I wasn't working Conoco, but every time Conoco had their unions jump their wages up, everything, all the prices went up, but we didn't do it. Now, that's what I don't understand. Or like the gas prices. Years ago, gas prices was low, and then they'd,
Ask your question.
and then, that's what I'm asking.
No, you get telling us the story.
When the gas prices goes up, they raise their products. Then when prices gas goes down, you don't see anything else dropping.
What was the question? Though?
Yeah, what's the
That's
question?
the question. How do they get by with it? They jack that price up for transportation, then when the price goes down.
We're not addressing why they price. We're addressing this particular state question.
Well, I mean, I will say this, and I'm glad you brought up organized labor, because it's worth pointing out in my mind that organized labor is who's pushing this. The NEA, which is the National Teachers Union, as well as the AFT, which is another teachers union, as well as the AFL-CIO. Because a lot of their collective bargaining agreements have clauses in them where they reference a prevailing wage. And so even though those union workers don't make a minimum wage, if the minimum wage goes up, they will see their wages go up as well. But again, that's great for them, and I'm not mad at them for doing what they feel like is in their best interest, but it's going to hurt a lot of other people. It's going to hurt other people. I mean, as far as what you're talking about, that's just, I guess, part of doing business. The price goes up, the price goes down. People are not often, once they become accustomed to earning a certain wage, they typically don't want to go down in that wage afterwards. But I mean, that particular case, I can't really speak to. Yes, sir.
Who sponsors this?
Well, that's what the main sponsor of this is organized labor. There's a woman named Amber England who is sort of the face of it. She also ran the Medicaid expansion ballot question in 2020, which promised us to save rural hospitals, but they continue to close anyway. Yes, sir. Sorry, I got you right in the middle of a bite.
Right. In my dreams, as a working man, oh yeah, I'll raise the minimum wage, sure. But in my dreams as a property owner, all these people rent my apartment. As soon as minimum wage goes up, I'm going to raise the rent. So how do we explain to these working people who want more wages somehow? They ain't going to get it. You're not going to keep that money. It's going to go to the property owners to raise their rent. And then they can go to the bank and borrow more money against their property and go out and have a stake. Wouldn't you like to have a stake? Yeah. I'd like to have raise the minimum wage so I can have a stake on it.
What's your question?
Well, if I knew how to convince people, I'd probably make a lot more money myself. If I was that good at it. But I mean, what you said is exactly right. With more money, often it comes a raise in price because everybody's cost of goods goes up. Yes, sir.
Any polling on where we're at here?
Yes. It's getting better. When we first polled it, we were underwater, which we knew we would be, but not as bad as we thought we would be. And we recently did some more polling, and the gap is closing. The important thing about groups like these, and the reason that we spend the time and money and effort to come out to groups like these, is that it's really important that you all leave here and don't stay quiet about it. That you talk to your friends and your neighbors, who you go to church with, about this, and make sure that they're going in June, on June 16th, to vote, and that they're voting no. Because what the polling shows is there's a ton of people who still just are totally unaware of this.
Yeah, let me make a real quick comment. I'm a business owner for a small business that doesn't pay real high wages, okay? And it's labor intensive, and the labor cost per product that goes out is about 30 to 34%. And if I got a $14 or $15 an hour employee and they raise it up to 15, theirs has to go up commensurate.
Yeah.
I'm not hiring someone at 15 and they're going to come in at 17 or 18. So my cost goes up, but it has to stay at 30 to 34% of the output. The only way to do that is to pass it right on through to prices.
Yeah.
So that whatever increase that they want, you can comment on this.
Right.
They're going to come right out at it. Corporations can handle it somehow, but the regular small businessman is going to have to pass that right
That's a
on
great point.
through the cost.
And that's something that I try to focus on, or I try to get people to focus on, is that these big multinational corporations, and I have nothing against them, they have a lot more power to eat that cost than a small business does. So you're exactly right there. And I don't lead with what you just said because that just sort of makes it sound like everybody's getting a pay bump even if you make above the minimum wage or whatever. But that's exactly right. I mean, why would you?
How can I hold them older employee at the same rate?
Right. That's exactly right. Yes, sir.
Do you have any data on how many entities outside the government are actually even paying minimum wage that low?
We see that about 1% of the workforce earns minimum wage. I think most of that is frankly in the service industry where tipped employees make more than that, but their actual hourly wage reflects frankly lower than minimum wage. Because I think in a lot of the service industry, they make $3 an hour and then tips on top of that. If they don't make up to the federal minimum wage, then the employer has to come on top of that and get you there. But they don't usually have to do that.
So this would help roughly 1% of people, but hurt 99% of people.
Well, again, unless you work in a union and you've got one of these prevailing wage clauses in your collective bargaining agreement, and then if the minimum wage doubles, you may very well see your wage go up. So yeah, I mean it's definitely picking winners and losers via the government. Yes, sir.
This is a real question. If 832 passes, how's that going to affect my gun collection?
Well, it should make them more expensive.
I've already got thousands of guns. How's it going to affect the guns I've got?
I don't know.
I can sell them, make money.
If you want.
So
Why would you want to sell them?
832 does not affect our guns, does it?
So,
Okay.
You'll have less ammunition to put in them, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.
Even though your answer may be against what we want, what is your personal idea on if it's going to pass or not? I mean, if we 50-50, what is it? I mean, like at this point right now.
About 50-50. I believe that if we continue doing the work that we're doing to get the word out. Has anyone seen a vote no on like watching YouTube or streaming services? Okay, you've seen it. We had to go offline for a while. Raising money's been difficult. I mean, there was people who said they were going to give and help out with this campaign that it's just been hard getting that from them. So we had to go offline for a couple of weeks, but we're back on now. And again, we're sort of putting in the road miles and all that sort of stuff to go out to different communities. My buddy Curtis was up in Ponca a couple weeks ago talking to the group up in Ponca. And so I think if we do what we need to do, we've shown that we can be successful on these types of campaigns before. Like I said, the judicial campaign in 2024. But guys, the thing of it is, Yvonne Cogger lost by about 6,000 votes. Noah McGurch won by about 7,000. It's going to be real tight.
So how many groups are advocating the same way you are? Like how many people you think in the state are beating the drum on trying to get people informed?
I don't think anybody's doing like we're doing it.
No,
The state chamber is doing, debates and forums and talking to the press and all that sort of stuff. And I think some of their members have engaged, as far as like contributing and whatnot. But I don't think anybody, like Americans for Prosperity, great allies with us. But this is not something they're working on. They're working on political campaigns. So.
My check was up on the farmer as well.
Thank you. They have.
Yeah.
They have engaged.
And they were actually, I think they were also working with the same check.
Who did you say, Farm Bureau?
Farm Bureau.
Okay.
They have come out. They've got. They thank you, Suzanne. They have absolutely engaged on this. Now they're not sending out. They don't have the staff that we do to go out into 5 communities every night talking to grassroots groups like this. But they have engaged, and that's good.
It amazes me. I put on Facebook just basically what you said. The cost is going to go to us, or mom and pop ain't working it. They got 3 people hired. They're going to fire 1, keep 2. 2's going to do more.
Yeah.
They just don't use. They don't think that's.
It's a bad deal for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of things that an employer can do, right? You can lay someone off. You can cut their hours. You can cut their benefits. You can cut working conditions and make things less safe for people. But there's only so many things you can do. You can raise prices, but the reality is, if you could raise prices, wouldn't you have already done it?
Well, we know what it costs, and we know what it has to do, so
Yeah.
we kind of just stay there. When we do adjustments when our input goes up. But
Yeah.
if you can't, we couldn't operate. We're at minimum operating right now.
Yeah.
We're cut staff as short now as it is, so there is no way that no one's going out the door.
Right. Well, I'll say one more thing, and then again take any questions. But the latest ad on the Yes side is so preposterous to me. I just can't believe they had the gall to even run it. It's the idea that by raising the wage, somehow this is going to help people get off government dependence. But like I just said, the woman who's running this campaign, Amber England is her name, also ran Medicaid expansion 6 years ago. She wants as many people as possible on government assistance.
Yeah.
So it is just beyond absurd for the yes side to be arguing that raising the wage is going to go off government dependence. I can't get there.
You mean somebody in politics might be lying?
I hate to say it, but yeah.
I'm shocked.
You said it, not me.
Yeah.
Thank you. And if you didn't get a brochure, I'd like to get you one.
Let's give Ryan a hand. Thank you for driving up. I want to mention one thing. I mentioned that they were instrumental in getting 836 shot down. That came from California. The last polls I saw, the governor's race in California, the 2 leading candidates are Republicans. With this system, the California voters may have 2 Republicans to pick from on election day. There's some kind of justice there. That's right now, but wouldn't that be funny? Wouldn't that be funny? Okay. Robert, I can just give you a few seconds, but you want to introduce yourself? U.S. Law Shield. Yeah,
My
keep
name
it
is
short.
Robert with U.S. Law Shield. Thank you, Mr. Terry, for giving me just a few minutes to talk to you.
Few seconds.
Most of y'all have met me before, but if you don't know who U.S. Law Shield is, pretty much it boils down to it's legal defense for self-defense. It's any weapon, anytime, anywhere, any situation. If you ever have to protect yourself as a member, you already have your attorney. And I'm not talking about just in court. 24/7, over the phone in that emergency situation, and on scene if the attorneys need to be there to keep you from going to jail. Okay? And then after that emergency is handled, then we go to work. And it doesn't matter if it's criminal court, civil court, doesn't matter how long it takes either. As long as you're a member, you're never going to pay a penny for those attorneys ever. Doesn't matter what the attorneys have to do to take care of your situation. They're going to do it. They're going to take care of you. It truly is a peace of mind. that if you're ever forced to have to defend yourself, you don't have to worry about what happens after. Okay? I'll be hanging around after the meeting. If you have any questions, please come and see me. I'd love to get you fixed up and get you taken care of with that same peace of mind. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you. I've had U.S. Law Shield for 4 or 5 years now. It is well worth the money, and I've not had to use it. If I ever have to use it, it'll be worth 100 times what I paid. Our OK2A chairman of the board had to use them, about 6 or 8 years ago? They had an intruder come in their house, armed intruder, and he shot and killed him. And he probably would have been in jail that evening, but U.S. Law Shield had an attorney there within a minute. So it's the kind of thing, it's like buying car insurance. You don't buy car insurance, hope you get in a wreck and get to use it. So, but I highly, highly recommend it. Okay, I think that's everybody except our headliner, Scott Loftus, who I'd never even heard of Scott Loftus, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing hundreds of signs. I think I've been following politics pretty closely since JFK. I've got to tell you, I think you run the most effective sign campaign of any politician I've ever seen. So,
I hope it pays off.
yeah, that's the whole idea, right? But I got to compliment you. You were smart. Anyway, this is Scott Loftus. He's running for district judge, and I think we're all interested in hearing from him and meeting him. So, Scott, the floor is yours, buddy.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Terry for inviting me. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Scott Loftus. I live here in Tonkawa, and I'm running for district judge in Noble County. Unlike a local House or Senate race in the state, judge races in Oklahoma are nonpartisan, which means we can't disclose our political party, we can't endorse candidates. But what I can tell you about myself is that I'm a Christian. I attend a Bible-believing Baptist church in Ponca City. I'm married to one woman. I believe in the biblical definition of marriage of being between one man and one woman. That is controversial these days, but I still believe in that. Me and my wife are raising our 6 kids together, and I believe God got it right when He designed 2 genders. I believe that God didn't make any mistakes when He handed each of us a gender. Those are my personal beliefs, to tell you kind of about where I come from, what my foundation of beliefs is, and it is centered on the Word of God. I've been a member of the NRA and the National Gun Owners of America since my early 20s. Law Shield, I'm going to make a plug for you here. In Kay County, you need it. With our district attorney, you better have something like that. I'm just going to be honest with you. God forbid you would ever need it, but I think that would be, I wasn't even aware that that was out there. So that is something that would be valuable in Kay and Noble County. But out of all the groups that I'm going to talk to on this campaign, this is probably the one where I felt like I'd be the most at home, and I've looked, forward to. We were originally set about a month ago, and it got rained out, so I'm glad to be here tonight. Tell you a little bit about me. I grew up in Wichita, Kansas. I'm the son of a police officer, a grandson of a police officer. I graduated from Wichita State University with honors with a bachelor's degree in politics, philosophy, and economics. Was a member of a group that started back in Terry's day called Young Americans for Freedom. It was a group that promotes individual liberty, free enterprise. William F. Buckley and Ronald Reagan were instrumental in that group back in the 60s. I was involved in it during my college years. Went to law school at Oklahoma City University. Graduated with honors, was a merit scholar there, and was involved with the Federalist Society. The Federalist Society is an organization for conservative lawyers that believe in the originalist or textualist interpretation of the U.S. Constitution. Just to kind of give you an idea of what you would get with me on the bench. The three Supreme Court justices that I look up to the most are Antonin Scalia, who's now deceased, Clarence Thomas, and Samuel Alito. Those are the three justices I would try to emulate myself after if I were elected district judge in Kay and Noble County. This election, you're going to have clear choices on the ballot. There's three of us in this election. I'm the only conservative in this race. It goes from me being conservative, and then you've got liberal and more liberal. I tend to hold a much more conservative worldview than my two opponents. They both like to parrot the language that I use, which is, if elected and I do my job on the bench, it's going to be to interpret the law as written. The difference is that I mean it when I say it. All judges say they follow the law. Where judges get themselves in trouble is not necessarily with the law. It's on a thing called discretion. Judges have a lot of discretion with certain decisions. And that's where I think you would see the biggest difference between me and my two opponents. I've running a campaign as the only law and order candidate on the ballot. And to give you an example of the discretion that I'm talking about, we had a case a year and a half ago in Kay County. Both of my opponents were involved in it. Rob Davis was the prosecutor. Judge Lee Turner was the sentencing judge. It involved a 22-year-old man named Mason Krause. And Mr. Krause admitted, when he was apprehended by police, admitted to the crime. So there's no doubt about Mr. Krause's guilt. Mr. Krause repeatedly raped a 9-year-old boy. And when he was apprehended by the police, he was in contact with a 14-year-old girl. Mr. Davis was the prosecutor in that case. He filed one count of rape against Mr. Krause. He could have filed multiple counts of rape against Mr. Krause, and he didn't. Mr. Krause enters a plea of guilty, or is either guilty or no contest. Judge Turner, using his discretion within the law, gave Mr. Krause a 1-year sentence, 1 year in the county jail, suspended time on the back end. Mr. Krause is walking the streets of Tonkawa today. I looked him up on his sex offender registry. He lives in Tonkawa. I'm just going to tell you right now, if there's anybody here that thinks that sentence, the punishment fit that crime, I'm not your candidate. I mean, that was abhorrent, and it should have never have happened. I made up my mind a year and a half ago that I'm running when I heard about that case. Not only was it a 9-year-old boy that he repeatedly raped, but he was in contact with a 14-year-old girl and tried to go to her house. And this isn't me making it up. This is a case that's public record. You can go up to the courthouse and pull it yourself. Read the probable cause affidavit. He admits to the police to everything that I've just told you. And the prosecutor and the judge put him in the county jail for 1 year, and he's now a registered sex offender in our community here in Tonkawa. as this campaign progresses, you know, I'm going to continue to make the case to the voters that I'm the only one that is the reasonable choice in this election. You know, I believe my opponents are too way out of touch and way too liberal for Kay and Noble counties. I think the Krause case is a shining example of their liberalism. I believe the law-abiding citizens of Kay and Noble County deserve a judge that will show up to work every day, who will treat the citizens fairly, have an open mind, listen to the evidence, will interpret the Constitution, interpret statutes as written, and just follow the law. But going back to the discretion that I was talking about, when Judge Turner says, I follow the law, he followed the law in the Krause case. Mr. Krause's sentence could have been 1 year, or it could have been life without parole. There was nothing illegal about the sentence he gave, because he's got broad discretion. All judges say they interpret the law, or they follow the law. I'm going to follow the law, but I'm going to use common sense when it comes to discretion. And that wasn't done in the Krause case. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I would appreciate your vote on June 16th, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Questions?
I will take as many questions as you want.
If you're sitting here where I'm at, and you got 3 district judges you want to look at, who's going to get your vote, what do you look at? Do you look at their convictions, their political affiliation, or everything?
Well, there's something I probably should clarify too. I think experience is important. You know, Judge Turner's the oldest among us. He's 69 years old. He's practiced the longest, but he's also not in great health. He's missed a lot of work due to his health problems. I've practiced law for 22 years in Kay, most of it in Kay County. I started my career as a prosecutor in El Dorado, Kansas. I've done civil work, and I consider myself a general practitioner in Kay County. I've been here continuously since '06. So I've got 22 years of experience on both sides of the law, criminal and civil. I've done civil plaintiff work, civil defense work, representing insurance companies. Don't hold that against me. That's experience that Judge Turner doesn't have. Rob Davis, he's the youngest of us. He's 35 years old, and my understanding about his experience is he spent 8 years in the district attorney's office. He's only been a prosecutor. He has no civil court experience. I think experience is important. I think the judge's health is important. You know, the good Lord has given me good health, and I've got 22 years experience. I believe when you look at everything, I believe I'm the best all-around candidate. No, I don't have as many years as Judge Turner, but I make up for it with being in better health to where I can actually show up to work every day. So I think that's important. The thing about my opponents is they're public officials. They've got a track record. You can look at cases Mr. Davis has prosecuted. You can look at the sentences that get handed down. You can look at the sentences Judge Turner's handed down. I believe both of them are too out of touch and way too liberal for Kay and Noble County. That's why I decided to run. I didn't plan on running against Mr. Davis. He was kind of a surprise. He jumped up first of the year and said he was going to run. I thought it was going to be me and Judge Turner. But that's why I decided. But I think you have to look at a little bit of everything to answer your question. Yes, sir.
I consider myself a Christian.
Yep.
So their tax credits going on because people don't like the gay rights movement and abortion. But somebody sues me or takes me to court for being hate crime. How you going to judge that man?
Well, I mean, I've got to follow the law. I mean, as a judge, I mean, if you're just out speaking against abortion, that's not, you've not violated anybody's rights. So I wouldn't think that anybody could bring a suit against you. I mean, I would.
Well, I hear about it all the time.
I haven't heard about that in Oklahoma. That might go on in California. I mean, that hasn't made its way here yet. But I mean, I have to interpret the law as written. And I don't know any law on the books that in Oklahoma that would prevent you from, as a Christian, speaking your faith, and albeit that might make somebody that's a homosexual uncomfortable. You still got a right to do that. So, I mean, to answer your question, I've got to interpret the law as written, and I would do that. Yes, sir.
The case against Mr. Young from Peckham Schools that's been drug out forever, is there copies to the liberalism that we all know is up there that has caused them to drag out that distance?
I'm familiar with the case because it involves the Peckham School District. I can tell you who the players are. Rob Davis is the prosecutor. Judge Turner was the judge until recently, and
I seen him recuse himself.
And he took himself off of it. He's not given an explanation as to why he's done that. I know that case was supposed to go to trial. Mr. Davis didn't turn over evidence. The defense found out about it. They threw a fit the morning of trial because they weren't provided evidence, which they were entitled to. So Judge Turner entered an order continuing the case, and now I know in that particular case, they have filed a motion to dismiss the case against him because now his right to a speedy trial may be violated. Judge Turner didn't rule on that. He conveniently took himself out of the case before ruling on that motion for speedy trial, so it was taken under advisement. It's still pending. I don't know what Judge Bandy's going to do with that. But it's the same players.
Yeah.
Yes,
I just want to make a comment that I really appreciate your Facebook posts, you're honest about your past, your whatever, any topic. I really appreciate you being absolutely brutally honest because it absolutely swayed me.
I appreciate that. Not everybody appreciates my Facebook posts. So whenever I get a compliment, I almost want to give you a hug because I've been beat up. I spoke to the FOP last week, and they wanted to beat me up about my campaign, and instead of just asking good questions. A few of them, not all of them. There were some good questions, but I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Real quick question. Usually an election for a judge, you don't even see lawn chair signs. Now and then there'll be a big one. I think there was one in Wichita not too long ago. In this case, why did it blow up so much? I mean, more people are talking about the judge election here in Kane County, I think,
Yes.
than some of the other things.
Absolutely.
I
mean, just for your opinion. I'm just. I don't know if you've heard. People say, "Wow."
No. I've noticed that too, and it kind of goes along with what are you husband and wife?
Yeah.
I didn't realize this until I decided to run. That apparently I'm a very polarizing figure. I've got a group of people that I think love me to death, and there's a group of people that hate my guts, and I think that has contributed to it. Me and the district attorney have not always seen eye to eye, which is why I gave you that plug. I hope you get business from that. I mean, really, I'm serious. I mean, that would be a good investment in this county.
I think they think you're going to be against the grain and they'll like that.
Well, I'm not a part of their good old boy system,
Right, that's what I'm
and
saying.
I've never have been.
Yeah.
I've always been somebody that's plain spoken. I speak my mind, and I say some things that I believe to be inconvenient truths for them, and they don't appreciate it. And I mean, but yeah, I think that's why this judge's race is so out there. Plus,
I wish they all be that way.
well, I mean, I'm running against an incumbent too, and he's contributed to that. I mean, because he's not taken it very well that he's had two people jump up and run against him. So,
What is
yes,
the length of term?
4 years. Yes, ma'am. What do you do when a DA brings you a video case like that? In the case of when you're talking about the dog unit, the DA brings you something like that?
As the judge or the
As a judge, you have to, as a judge, DA brings for just a 1-year sentence to you, and it's been multiple rates. Well, here's the beauty, and a lot of people don't know this. And I'm not going to say this is coming from Judge Turner himself, but there are supporters of his. They're pointing the finger at each other. The supporters are. I don't want to characterize the candidates of doing this, but Rob Davis works in the DA's office. His supporters are blaming Judge Turner for some of these sentences, and Judge Turner's blaming the DA's office. And you've seen, yeah. I mean, I've seen it, and I think it's ridiculous because here's the truth. The district attorney can recommend a sentence to the judge. If the judge likes the sentence, the judge can, enter it. If the judge doesn't like the sentence, the judge can do whatever he wants within the range of punishment of that particular crime. In Mr. Krause's case, it was, a year in jail to life without parole. Judge Turner decided it was going to be the 1 year in the jail. I think it was 15 years suspended following his 1 year sentence.
Is that what Rob suggested?
I don't know. I ordered the transcript. I'm waiting on the transcript to see exactly what Mr. Davis suggested. My guess is Mr. Davis wanted something a little more stiffer than one. I would hope, because the facts of that case are just egregious. I mean, it's unspeakable. So I'm not going to say whether he did or he didn't. I don't know. I'm waiting on.
Probably still going to stiff enough.
No. Well, I doubt he asked for life in prison. Which, I mean, it was a 9-year-old boy getting raped repeatedly. I mean, if there's ever cases that deserve to be on the back end or the high end, that would probably be one of them.
Was the boy a family member?
Yeah.
Oh,
His brother.
his brother.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, asking as someone who's hopefully writing the law by this time next year, do you have any ideas about raising minimum sentencing for certain crimes?
I can give you a great idea if you follow it.
I'm open to suggestions.
Kansas has got a thing called sentencing guidelines that takes a lot of the discretion away from the court, which when you've got liberal judges, you need to take that discretion away from them so you don't get sentences like Mr. Krause got. There's a range of punishment. I mean, basically, you do a criminal history score in Kansas. Wherever you fall on the grid is where you fall. You're either on the side of presumptive probation, presumptive prison, but it takes a lot of that discretion away from the prosecutor and the judge. And I've been a big proponent of sentencing guidelines in Oklahoma because as a practitioner, I feel like sometimes you deal with DAs that are just way out of line and the punishment doesn't fit the crime because they're too illegal. But on the other side of this is you've got serious crimes where, the judges and DA are doing everything but, giving the defendant a kiss on the cheek on the way out of the courthouse. So I think sentencing guidelines like they have in Kansas would be great. I actually tried to talk to Steve Vaughn about it when he was a state rep years ago, because I was like, man, you got to do something about what's going on up there, and the only way we can do anything is if you take that discretionary power away from us, because you can't trust them.
Yeah, well, I'm not naive. I know that the reason it hasn't happened so far is because the money in Oklahoma City doesn't want it to. I have another question. There was a case recently, I don't think it was Judge Turner, but it was somebody else in our area. Two, I think it might have been a couple, got convicted of drug trafficking and their sentence was 35 years, but it was 100% dismissed or whatever. How does that happen? So now those two drug traffickers are back out on the street because their entire 35-year sentence was dismissed.
It was a suspended sentence. I know what case you're talking about. I don't know why the DA did that. I don't know. Judge Bandy will typically follow the recommendations of the state. I've never seen Judge Turner or Judge Bandy not. I don't know what the DA's reasoning is for that. I feel like the DA's office has never really been transparent about why they do some of the things they do. And I mean, I can speculate that maybe those two defendants gave them information.
They get money, they're able to collect those fines and fees, and
Yeah.
the perpetrators on the street working a job instead of sitting in jail.
Right. I mean, that's the, well, here's the problem I got. Ethically, I can't tell you what I would do because the rules of judicial conduct prohibit me from, I can tell you situations that I find abhorrent, like the Macy Krause case. I'm not a real big fan of cutting people deals just because they've talked, and I suspect, having done this for 22 years and being a prosecutor myself when I first started, that's likely what happened. But I know that for sure.
Follow-up that might help this question. Would you make it a habit of turning out convicted drug traffickers onto your street?
If they blind plea in front of me, probably not. I mean, that's just, I just can't see a good reason to do that, especially now with fentanyl.
What if they're willing to testify against their higher-ups in the drug network?
Well, the problem with that is I've seen situations practicing where they say they've got all this good information, but when it actually comes down to doing it, they don't want to do it, or they lie and make up stories and.
No, felons lie.
Yeah. So.
What about the ability to recall DAs?
We don't have a procedure. Yeah.
What about doing that?
Well, we need a guy in the legislature to draft you're running. Let me ask you, are you going to propose legislation that would do that?
I was thinking about that. I think we need recall.
One of the problems we have, and it's probably not just Kate County, is we've had the same DA since 2010, and whether you like him or dislike him, he's not had an opponent. Because nobody else wants his job, but nobody I talk to seems to be real happy with him.
Somebody needs to step back.
Yeah. When I came to Kay County 22 years ago, there was about 90 attorneys. I bet we're down to in the 30s now. A lot of those guys have died off, and there's just not a lot of us left. And
how does that much less people keep up with their work?
we're working ourselves to death. And that's one of the reasons, though, that nobody wants the DA job is it would be a huge pay cut. I mean, to be completely honest with you.
Let me say one thing about the DA. I will give him this. He's the only elected official that shows up about half the time to the Kay County GOP meetings on the fourth Thursday of each month.
And here some.
Yeah, he's been here a couple of times. And of all the other elected officials in Kay County, he's the only one that regularly shows up. Now, I'm not saying that that's
There might be things on the agenda he's curious about. So
yeah. But I will give him that much because we just don't. Our House representatives and our state senator never show up at these meetings.
Well, he's trying to lose that carpetbagger from Wisconsin image by coming here. That's my personal opinion. But, yes, sir.
What's your view on special judges? Because a lot of cases that you might dismiss.
I gotta add. Oh, the guy sitting. Did the guy sitting behind you put you up to this?
No.
Because he was actually sitting in my office today and asked the same question.
I have wanted to get rid of special judges for about the last 10 years.
Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. I've been wanting to get rid of special judges for about the last 10 years because there's no way to get rid of them unless a district court judge wants to get rid of them. They completely can act without almost impunity because district court judges understand that if they get rid of the special and they don't bring another one in their place, that's more dockets that they have on themselves. And they're allowed to pretty much run free on most cases unless the media gets involved into it. And I've been in and out of courtrooms for 10, 12 years as a criminal defense investigator, seeing special judges, even on self-defense cases where the law is pretty clear, the person should be dismissed. No, we'll let it be heard in front of a jury. That's not what state statute says. So,
Well, let me.
I know they can, but they can rule on I know they cannot, but they can rule on motions prior to being assigned to a district judge. That's what we were talking about.
Let me start off by answering that by saying this. One of my opponents, well, actually, I'll just tell you who it is. Judge Lee Turner is now going around telling people that if I'm elected, I won't be able to fire his specials. Get rid of his specials.
How many is there?
There's two. I think there was a mistaken belief that they're controlled by the other district judges throughout the state, and I would have to go to them. I don't read the Oklahoma State Constitution that way. I'm going to tell you, being that I would be accountable to the voters, if my special judges are not doing their job, I'm going to get rid of them. Because ultimately, if they're not doing their job, I'm going to get the blowback from when I stand for re-election because somebody will likely run against me. So I'm going to be pretty intolerant of special judges not doing their job. I mean, that's just my own personal opinion, and it'll be easy for me to do that because the two guys that are there now aren't people that I appointed. So I'm not saying that I'm going to get rid of them. I'm just saying if I...
What was I asking?
Okay. I'm just making it clear that because I would be accountable to the voters, they're going to be accountable too. And if I felt like it was going to cost me my job, you're darn right, I'm going to get rid of them.
Why do you want to be a judge?
Well, there's a lot of unfairness that's gone up and has gone on up in Newkirk. You can only sit by your clients after a hearing doesn't go your way and go, I understand you got a raw deal in there. It takes a toll on you emotionally when you see your clients not get what they deserved. And I finally decided that it was time for me to just say, hey, I can either continue to complain about it or I can go do something about it and try to make sure that everybody gets treated fairly up there and, gets their case resolved in a manner that, it needs to be done in. And that's why I decided to run.
Well, you got people lost here, but, and you can tell it, and you probably heard about it, people, the innocent ones to get sued. They go to court.
I've represented people on the civil side and on the criminal side that, I believed 100% they were innocent. And, the process has to play out. And like I said, I've been fortunate enough when I've had cases where I believe my clients were innocent. The system worked the way it was supposed to, and they were able to walk out of the courthouse. But I've had cases where, and it tends to happen more in family court than it does in regular civil court or criminal court, where I feel like somebody's really got the raw end of the deal. I mean, that's been based on my own personal experience out there. There's more funny business that goes on in family court than you probably would want to believe. I mean, I compare it. I hate to say this because I upset another attorney. I said family court's like professional wrestling. Everybody knows it's fake except the litigants, and then after they walk out afterwards, they realize it's fake. So I want to change that image.
You're talking about like some of your clients specifically, getting Ryan to do it, and then Krause gets what he gets is crazy.
Well, I mean, I've had drug offenders get longer sentences than what Mason Krause got.
I seen a guy, there was a post on Facebook about the sentencing, and everybody was super pissed. The guy got like 9 years, and he was stealing, he was scrapping, stealing copper and stuff. He got 9 years for that. And they're bringing up this case like with Young and the one you're talking about. It's like it's totally opposite.
Well, there's also the Pena case. Judge Turner gave Mr. Pena a suspended sentence, and then it was about less than a month later, he shoots somebody in Stillwater. And now he's charged with assault and battery with a deadly weapon down there when he was able to walk out of the Bay County courthouse after his sentence.
That brings a question up that I thought about, and I want to get your opinion on it. If there was a law of some sort that could be written correctly to hold judges accountable for the way they rule more liberal than not usually, like in that case, they let them out and they reoffend, or like they let these rapists out stuff on minimal bond, and they reoffend because the judge didn't really do maybe what he should have done, and hold the judge partially accountable for what the offender reoffended he did. I mean, what's your opinion on that? Could that,
That movement is gaining some momentum.
Because if a judge rules that way, and he's in court before he makes the ruling, and he knows he's going to be held accountable if that guy reoffends, I don't think that judge is going to rule the same if that law was in effect. He's going to be more hardcore on it, which is what we want.
Well, I wouldn't have a problem with a law like that. I'll tell you this. And I said this at the FOP meeting because I knew I was going to get, well, you're a defense attorney. So I made it clear to him. I said, look, I got skin in the game. I got 6 kids at our house, 3 stepchildren, 3 of my own. I want them to live in a safe community. And I said, I brought up another defense attorney, Jared Stevenson, who's a friend of mine. I said, when he's done with work at the end of the day, he gets in his Toyota Prius and he drives back to Oklahoma City with his family. When I'm done at work at the end of the day, I drive back to Tonkawa. I live here. So I got to live, with the repercussions of bad decisions. Jared, God bless him, he does a good job for his clients, but he doesn't live here. I've got kids here, and I want everybody's kids to have the same opportunities that mine will have as far as living in a safe place. And one of the points I made to the FOP last week was when I came to town 22 years ago, Ponca City was different. There was a murder once, maybe every 2 or 3 years. Now you have several in a year. You got fentanyl on the streets now that kills you the first time you do it. It's not a good place. So, but back to your point, I wouldn't have a problem with the law.
I know it would have to be written very carefully and specifically, but something needs to be put into play just to help the process lead, that I think.
Well, I think especially with crimes with children, if you kind of use the golden rule, think of your kid.
Yeah.
Would you want your kids being around somebody like this? I hate to put it that way because you're supposed to be objective, but at the end of the day, it's just really about what you want for other people should be the same thing that you want for your kids. And, my kids could be able to grow up in a safe community where they don't have child predators, living just a few blocks from you. I think that should be a desire for everybody. Yes, sir.
Can a judge be impeached, and if so, how does that work?
You know,
It's a lot harder than you think. They have to complete a use. Part of the process.
I don't believe in Oklahoma there's an impeachment process for a judge. Well, I take that back. I think the Oklahoma Supreme Court can intervene if a judge's ethics are called into question and there's ethical complaints. Obviously, if a judge commits a crime, I think there is a process for the Oklahoma Supreme Court to remove a trial judge.
There is, I think it's like a nine-panel of judges and majority rules, but again, the judges judging judges. It's not like a call for the voters to vote on it or petition the legislature to actually impeach them in the legislature.
Well, you would judge judges, wouldn't you? You've already judged judges right here tonight.
Yeah.
You'd impeach a judge, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would.
Thank you.
It takes a lot of time.
I'll tell you, typically the thought process is leave it up to the voters. If you don't like a judge, next election, vote him out. The problem we've had in Kay County is this is the first judge election we've had in 8 years. We don't even get them every 4 years because typically a lot of people or a lot of attorneys don't run against the sitting judge. It's just circumstances were right this go around.
What's the process for a judge, say, like you go in and those two special judges are just not getting it, and you get rid of them. What's the process for getting special judges in?
It's not difficult. Judge Boyd got rid of a couple back when he was in office. That's why I know what Judge Turner's saying is not correct. My understanding of the Oklahoma Constitution is the special serve at the pleasure of the district judge. Yep. So if
you can appoint them, what's the process for you?
just they're employees at will. I mean, I want to get rid of one.
Do they have to have certain credentials to do it, or?
Well, there's minimum qualifications.
Okay.
I think I believe to be a special in Oklahoma, you've got to be a licensed attorney in the state in good standing for 4 years. Yeah. So that's not going to be difficult.
Special judge, member of the bar, active attorney. There's some credentials you do have to have.
I got another question. Real recent, a couple days ago, Blackwell, Ryan Walker, it's all public knowledge now, was stabbed by his stepson, which is a black kid, because he was beating his mom. Do you think he's going to be fairly treated due to his color?
I do. That's one thing I'm going to say about Kay County jurors. Man,
everybody's all over Facebook. He shouldn't even be charged. Which,
I'm going to tell you, I have no problem with the Kay County jury when I'm representing a minority. I mean, and honestly, it's not minorities that I was ever really worried about. It's people that have piercings and tattoos, because it's an older community and they don't understand that. But I got to tell you, those kind of biases, I just haven't seen it with the Kay County jury. I've never walked out of a courtroom when I've lost a case going, they convicted my client because he was black or he was Hispanic. Or, in fact, I mean, I've had some horrific allegations that turned out to be BS, where my client was a minority, and that was kind of my fear. But I've done it long enough, and I've seen Kay County juries, find defendants not guilty when they deserve to be found not guilty.
With what you know about that situation, does he have? I'm trying to figure out how to ask the question. Does he have a chance to not serve time due to his age and the circumstances? I don't know what the legal ramifications are of what he did for the reason he did it, and how the law looks at what he did for the reason he did it.
Well, in Oklahoma, we have stand your ground. I don't know if this was.
But it wasn't against him, it was against his mom. And he was taking up for her.
Well, stand your ground will apply
Covers up protection of the people.
in defense of another. So, I mean, if that's a legitimate, I don't know who his attorney is, but that may be something that gets raised is he standing his ground trying to protect
Yeah.
somebody else. So.
And it's been an issue before.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're gonna wind it up, except Glenn's got the update on the legislation down at the state capitol. We're gonna cover. It's not gonna take long because there hadn't been much going on this year. But we'll cover that, Glenn. Then we'll wind it up.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Scott.
By the way.
If you have specific questions, check with me afterwards, because I'll try to hit just a couple high spots real quick, because right now the legislature's patting themselves on the back for a job well done because they got the budget done early, and so they want to take vacation, get out of there. So there are a number of bills that we've been interested in that are placed on general order, but nothing's happening, and probably won't happen. So if you want some specific things, I'll be glad to talk to you a little bit. A couple things. House Bill 1185 covers historic military weapons. So this prohibits law enforcement from destroying historic weapons that they have confiscated or come into contact some way. That's sitting on the governor's desk, and he'll probably sign that pretty soon. A couple other things, see if we might be interested in.
Valid forgiveness.
Yeah, that's sitting.
Still alive.
I think so. I'll have to double check. The one thing that did get approved was firearms for retired municipal judges was approved by the governor. And there's also a clause in there that deals with sitting judges too, so expands a little bit for them. The one on removing the definition of rifle to eliminate like the sawed-off designations and things like that. It is dead. It died in Senate Rules Committee and never came out. The one on the public schools firearm safety education, sitting there in the Senate General Order. It passed the House easily, came out of Senate Committee, and it hasn't been brought up on the floor of the Senate. I think we've all heard of the Strong Readers Act. There were two bills. There was a House bill and a Senate bill, which were almost identical. The Senate bill has passed, and the governor signed that. Let's see, a couple other things we might need to. Oh, the one some people were interested. Senate Bill 372 was to clarify the language on whether you could carry in a state-owned hotel, cabin, or lodge. Apparently, the current law was a little ambiguous, and so it was being interpreted one way or another way. That did get clarification passed. It was sent to the governor, so it's on his desk right now. Let's see. Yeah, that's probably the main ones that I wanted to cover. So there's several that are just sitting in general order. One in the House, I think there's 3 or 4 in the Senate, and they're on vacation. Thank you.
They took 2 days off last week. Were they?
They're on day 6 of not showing up for work while the house has continued work.
Yeah, House has been working till midnight one night, right?
Past midnight.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, your opponent, our current senator, is in Senate leadership, right?
That is right. Depending on how you look at it, he's the number 3 or 4 guy.
Yeah.
And he's not pushing.
And he was at Ponca City at a meeting today, not in the Senate where he's supposed to be employed.
Well, didn't, I think, was it one of the leadership, maybe in the pro temps, they didn't have any important bills to look at?
That was the day after the House passed 140 something that needed
Yeah.
Senate consideration still. And that was 5 days ago.
We don't have a Democrat problem at the state capitol. We have a Republican part. Any good bill that doesn't pass and any bad bill that does pass is a Republican issue. The Democrats can't hardly go to the bathroom by themselves at the state capitol. Yeah.
Just double check on the rights for, restoring rights for a nonviolent felon. It is on the general order at the Senate.
Which probably
Yeah. And it passed with flying colors. In fact, was it unanimous in the House?
96-0.
Yeah, that's unanimous. A lot of support for it. Now, like I said, our problem is primarily in the Senate down there, and it's been that way for the last couple of years. So maybe we need a change in the Senate. What do you think, Jay?
We need some more conservative senators.
Yeah.
That's gonna be there doing it.
Some actual Republicans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not rhinos like running.
Anybody else got any comments or questions? Thank you for coming. I appreciate, Scott, thank you for taking. And sorry about last month.
You're fine.
I canceled because of a storm and never got here. I was kicking myself in the butt